Hi guys, welcome to XtraTalk full show. I got Sahbi, I got PapiMento, and of course Ajax. Welcome guys. All right, so we know what it's all about, right? We had the first block of games. We played 7 Eredivisie games, 2 Champions League games, and basically we want your opinion. We want to talk about where we stand early in the season with a new coach. So I'm going to ask all of you just to come up with what you've seen. What are the good things that you saw? What are the things that maybe are bottlenecks we have to work on and these kind of things? We will deep dive a little bit on individuals, maybe on tactics, on these kind of things. But let's have a first opinion. I will go with Sahbi first. Sahbi, welcome to the show. So we had a couple of games, bro. Tell me, what's your opinion of the current state of Ajax right now?
It's a bit parabolic. I mean, it went really bad at first. We lost against PSV, but then we had a terrific run playing against small teams, not very strong opponents, but our play was quite well. Build-up was great. Very opportunistic football. A lot of players in the penalty area going for a goal, trying to press as much as possible. A lot of positional changes. So I like that a lot. But I mean, we all gave a grade during on Twitter like a week or 2 weeks ago. Everybody was really hyped, really happy. I saw 7s, 8s, 9s. I even saw almost a 10. I don't know who gave it that 9 or 9.5, but but it was. I mean, everybody was really happy with the results. We didn't concede any goal, and we scored a lot of goals. But then we played against Liverpool, and all of a sudden, everybody was against Ajax. Everybody was thinking this Ajax is so poor in comparison with last season, and it went on when we played against AZ. I mean, we all know the problems. We could identify the problem on what went wrong. I mean, our build-up is shit. If we get high pressure from the opponent. There's no depth in our attack, even though we have great attackers. Certain players don't play well on a specific position. A specific attacker, Kudus, who was really at first when he scored, it was like everybody happy with him, and then all of a sudden when we played against Liverpool, AZ, it was all because of him that we lost. All because of him that we couldn't create any chances. So apparently, players are not playing at their right position, and that's basically what is wrong at the moment. If you compare it with last season we had a team whereby we didn't have, in comparison with this season, the depth of our squad is this year a lot better, bigger. But if you look at the previous season, the players were at their right position, and we had real footballers at the back, in the center, and so on. So we were complete. If you look at the starting 11 now, it doesn't seem complete. You can change players, but at the end, the puzzle isn't complete, and that's worrisome on my side. And apparently a lot of homework to do for Schroeder.
Yeah, that's a lot of things you mentioned. We're gonna deep dive a little bit into it in a bit. I'll go with PapiMento first. PapiMento, what's your view on it? Do you have a couple of things that resonates with what Sahbi said, or maybe different things?
Yeah, I was the one that gave that 9. But but to be honest, it's all about perspective, right? So my perspective is we still have diplomats that are kind of over the hill that are still playing. I see this as a rebuild season with so many players gone, so many players trying to gel in the team that I'm a little bit more positive because it did go well. We had a record going on, so many games in the Eredivisie 1. Actually, against Liverpool, we got dominated, but it's kind of logical. But it was only 2-1, and I really like how we got that first goal. Or the only goal, but that was a great build-up from Ajax, and the finish was also amazing. So that's why I was so positive. I thought, we were doing pretty well for a new team, but we lost a lot of quality, Juan. Martinez, Anthony, Gravenberg, Mazraoui, all very highly technical players. We got a lot of new players, but they still have to gel. They still have to learn new things. And That's my perspective of it. Now, things that really caught my eye is still the transitioning part. We're weak on the transition if we lose the ball up front, and some players get to play even though they're not playing up to par. So those are the things that stuck with me.
All right, clear. Also, new points we have to discuss in a bit. Ajax, is there anything left for you to pick up?
There's always something left for me to pick up, bro.
All right.
So I'm
pick up the leftovers.
Give it a try. I'll come with the leftovers. So I think Schreuder is trying to find the answer to the bigger puzzle here, and you encounter certain problems that you face now, especially during the last two matches. For me, the biggest problem at the moment is that we lack the ability to build up from the back when we get pressed high by the opponent. And you could see that in the last two matches. Liverpool and AZ were pressing up high in the field, and everything comes down to Blind to make those passes forward. You can see Bessie is not comfortable in his role yet to do the build-up. Alvarez, he grew in the way he can pass the ball at the moment, but he still is not a natural passer, like, for example, Gravenberg was last season. And you can see that it's a problem for us, because with Alicia now gone, you can see that we lost a lot of skill in the back that is comfortable building up. Because also Timber, you can see he's not as comfortable as Martinez was like last season. He still has to develop a bit in that area also. Rensch is new on the right side. He isn't as good as Masraoui was in building up the play, especially in combination with Anthony. And you can also see that not only are they not comfortable, most of the defenders building up, we saw a lot of long balls by Pasveer. This is usually not the case, because we were always able, and especially last seasons, to play ourselves in a free position when we get pressed high, And this is not happening at the moment. Not only this, sometimes when the players do get the ball, that you can progress and break that high press because you make a lot of good passes and you have some room to progress the ball further forward, they choose to pass the ball back to the back line or to the side and not make the progressive pass, because they are not open to progress the play. And Daley Blind is even more important for us now in this period, because he's one of the only ones that can make passes forward and especially progressive passes, so skip a few players, because players are not doing that at the moment at the back. And this bothers me a lot, because last season we had the problem against opponents that parked the bus. We couldn't find an answer against a lot of those opponents, and we got punished by one or two attacks. You could see it against Benfica, you could see it against lower tier teams in the Eredivisie. Now there's a problem that when we get pressed high, we do not have the similar ability that we had last season spread out through the back line, that we could easily play ourselves out of that position, out of that problem. This is what I noticed, especially the last two games. And Blind is even more important for us now. He has some flaws, but he's one of the only ones that is comfortable building up the play from the back.
All right. So look.
Can I react to that?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, just I wanted to say, because between Liverpool and AZ, there's a huge difference for me. AZ was clearly a lack of energy and winning duels. And with Liverpool, I thought they pressed us much better. And still, we were sometimes good getting off the press. So I think it was against AZ more of a mentality issue than really that we can't build up from the press, because the quality was visible.
I think that's what I try to cover with telling you guys, when you get the ball in certain positions, you not make the right decision to progress the ball forward, but go back to the easy pass back to the center back or the easy pass to the side. This is what I try to tell. It's not all due to the pressing, but also not making the right decisions when you have the possibility to get out of the press. And this is what you saw with the players, that they do not take the chance or do not feel comfortable making that pass that can give you some breathing area, that you can just go forward. And I think that this has to do also with the problem against AZ, because we got more chances to progress further, but we didn't take the chance. At least the players didn't.
Definitely.
Okay, so look, you guys mentioned a couple of things. I want to take all these points that you guys mentioned and deep dive a little bit into it. I will go with Ajax first. So let's start with the build-up. Would you guys say that the build-up is the biggest issue at the moment that was exposed to us in the last week? That this is something that maybe has the higher, in terms of critical things we have to improve, this is the highest one that we have to take care of going forward? What do you guys think?
I think definitely for me at least, because also our wingers like Tadic or Bergwijn, they aren't performing as well as they could, because there's a gap between our defensive midfield and the attackers. If you cannot progress the ball, so you cannot keep it within the team, make a few combinations, make a combination play to progress the ball forward, you cannot reach them. So you get islands. If you are not able to breach that gap, it's difficult for the attackers also to perform better. So you could see it last season with the tandem, for example, with Mazraoui and Anthony. They combined so well together. They knew how to play together. And not only do we have different players in the back now that have the difficulty building up that play, are not comfortable yet, but also both sides are different from last season. Different setup, different combination of players, right back, right winger, left back, left winger. So not only do we have problems now building up, but we also do not have the chemistry yet that we had last season between those duos. Yeah. And for me, this is the biggest problem at the moment. And I think a lot has to do with us not being as comfortable yet with the building of the play, because if we get there, things will also start clicking better at the front, in my opinion.
Sahbi, I want to ask you the same question basically, because Ajax is highlighting the chemistry, which is normal. We're just a couple of games into the new season, new players at the back, a lot of new players at the back basically, and we have to build up. But also, pretty sure you guys all noticed this as well, the setup of the players in the build-up phase is different than Ten Hag last season. So Alvarez is much more involved, whereas in previous seasons, there is a difference between last season and the season before, but Gravenberch was more reserved and being a double pivot in the build-up phase as well. A little bit less when Blind was really the left back last season, but the season before, you would see Gravenberch dropping down at the left zone in the left back area, picking up the ball and doing the build-up phase. So how much, in your view, is it chemistry? How much, in your view, is it the tactical setup of the build-up right now compared to last season? Because, as you know, Taylor plays much more up front than Gravenberch last season. Do you think this has anything to do with it, or no, it's just a way of chemistry right now?
No, it has definitely something to do with it. I mean, we're talking about if you look at the back line, there are not a lot of players who know how to build up, who are comfortable on the ball. You got Blind, who is one of the best build-up players in the squad, or the best builder. But then you have Bessie, who still got to learn. We all knew that. We also saw the podcast of Rangers when they told us, like, this is something that he really needs to develop with. So, okay, we take that into account. Timber is a bit disappointing from that aspect, because last season he did build up. So we had two builders with Licha and Timber, which made it very difficult for the opponent to pressure us. We could easily get out of their pressure. And now this season, it seems like he doesn't want to have the ball. Every time he receives the ball, he plays it again to either Bassi or to Pasveer, which is uncommon for him. And then we got Rensch, who is still developing. He still have to learn how to accommodate his position, how to cope with other players. So it's not possible to put so much pressure on him to be busy with the build-up as well. So if you put in Alvarez to take over that role for a bit, he doesn't have that football ability yet. He's developing, but he's not there yet. So what I would do, I mean, we all saw that at the first game when we played against Fortuna. Play Taylor as a player who can pick up the ball. He is right-footed. He's left-footed. He's technically gifted, so he can easily develop in that role because he is a baller.
Which role would that be?
Hold up, is it a 6 role or 8 role?
Yeah, which role are you talking about?
No, not in a 6 role, like in an 8 role. So
Gravenberch's position.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
but less deep. So less as a 10, but more as an 8.
Exactly.
It's a box-to-box midfielder.
Indeed. So when we try to build up, he should be able to assist our defense by picking up the ball if needed. And then and during the build-up, he can move a little bit deeper to the number 10 position, and try to be able to create something from there. But now we put all that pressure on Alvarez, we put all the pressure on Bessie, and we put the majority of the pressure on Blind because he has to do all the necessary to build up, and it's way too difficult.
Yeah, and it seems like our opponents are aware of that now. Also,
exactly.
The good team, they know how to neutralize us now.
But Taylor is playing, right? But you want him to play a little bit closer to our own goal, right? Like a little bit in front of Alvarez, but not as deep as he's playing now, right?
Indeed.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, he needs to be able to pick up the ball when needed. I mean, you often see if Timber gets the ball or Bessie gets the ball, and they got pressured, they immediately pass the ball back to Pasveer, and which he gives the long ball, and we lose the ball. If you got a player like Taylor, who is technically gifted, he's right-footed, left-footed, so he can easily turn to the left or to the right. He's not a baller as Frankie de Jong, who did that perfectly, but Taylor can be a player who can basically do the same, trying to do the same, and from there on start the build-up and move on, because that's our most important part. You already mentioned that, Ajax. If our defense doesn't play well, doesn't know how to build up, our attackers won't play well as well. So we need to have somebody who can link up that play, and that could be Taylor.
Yeah. PapiMento, you've created a new name for certain players in the team this season, which is called diplomats. I want to touch a little bit on that. So basically, it comes down to there are a couple of players, and it was touched upon also by Sahbi, that are not playing in their natural position, but also not playing well in those positions as well in the current team that we have seen in the last few weeks. What's your view on this? Should there be a change in that area, or are you more like, you know what, I don't mind these players playing there, but I don't want those players to get more, how do you call it, like leeway than other players that are fighting for a spot as well? What's your view on this? And also taking it into account in our recent form as a team.
Look, they're very important for us, Juan. So I think they should always start, especially a captain like Tadic or Blind that has so much experience. But actually, if you look at Tadic lately, it's not been good. He tried as a 9, he tried as a 10, and he was tried as a right wing. He has, together with Bergwijn, one of the highest amount of minutes played, and he only has 5 assists. So it's not his best start of the season. He is important, but I think when you play like what you did against AZ, I think you should be substituted, and you shouldn't be able to finish a game playing like that, because yes, our build-up wasn't good through the midfield, but also the attackers have a responsibility of when the long balls come to hold that ball and to start building up from further up the field. And that wasn't happening. Tadic wasn't winning his duels. Bergwijn, I mean, the only thing he was doing is coming into the ball and passing back, but I didn't see much quality. And I mean, we're talking about also Taylor, for instance, but I see Bergwijn, even though he's not long at Ajax, he's one of the veterans because he's 29, 30 now. And
Berghuis.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Berghuis. Yeah, 29, 30, and I see him as a veteran. I mean, he has a lot of experience in the Eredivisie. He plays with the Dutch national squad, so you should be putting him. You should be judging him higher than a Taylor, for instance.
Yeah.
So you cannot expect Taylor to already be the like a Blind on the field, even though I expect him to be that kind of player later on. He's still young, his first season in the starting 11. So for me, the veterans get a little bit more criticism. And also, you know, you see Tadic running, he gets a ball against AZ a little bit deep, and he has to run for it. He doesn't win it. He can't walk deep. So why put him in that position? Because we need somebody that's quick, fast, can pass someone on that wing position. It makes you less predictable. Maybe put him on the 10, put Kudus on the wing position, and leave Brobbey in the striker position, something like that. But I understand that Tadic always has to play, but the wing position, he's not capable physically of playing that position anymore. And it's hurting us, and it's not making our play fluent.
Okay. Ajax, do you agree with what PapiMento is saying? And I also want to go a little bit into Kudus as well, as one of the players that has been put in a position which is not his natural position. I mean, Kudus is very all-round. We all know this. In the past, he played a lot of positions, also as a striker, also as a winger, and these kind of things. But he said in the interview that he's more like an 8 or a 10, especially a 10, which is his favorite position. Now, we all saw last Monday the heated discussions on Twitter. All of a sudden, it was all Kudus' mistake, Kudus' fault. What we think about it, we can say it as well. It's okay. But for me, what's strange, if I can just throw something here, is that what PapiMento says also resonates to Kudus. Kudus has been injured for 2 years. He is kind of a new player and trying to fit himself in a new system, in a new team. How as fans, and everybody has their opinion, how can you criticize that player and leave out other things that are actually much more important to why we're not playing well? And one of the things, we talked about the build-up, but now what PapiMento is saying, shouldn't we be a little bit more, demanding more from our veterans in this sense, and not blaming the youngsters, because the youngsters need a little bit more time to get used to that. And don't forget, I'm not saying that Kudus has to play, just to be clear. I'm just saying that, is it not too much, too extreme, that fans are now blaming Kudus for our recent form? What do you think?
Whew, that's a long intro.
You know me, bro. You know me.
Yeah. You said a lot already yourself. Let me first start that if it's in a respectful way, everybody can have their opinion, right? So you can be for Kudus, you can be against Kudus. This is up to what you like to see and what you think of the player. But if you look at a broader thing, Tadic, for example, PapiMento said it, 5 assists this season, 3 in the same match. So his contribution and making the team play better isn't well either, because that's the argument that's being thrown in. Kudus at his not natural position as a false 9, it's his decision of the coach, because I'd rather see Brobbey there also. He still has a goal or assist contribution every 53 minutes this season in all competitions. So yes, you should let the team play better, but in my opinion, the reason why the wingers and the team isn't clicking the last 2 games has to do with primarily our build-up play and our lack of confidence to build the play up and deliver it up front. But still, in the matches that we couldn't do that, we get one chance. Kudus finished it off magnificently. That strike was something else. So he keeps us in the game while he doesn't get any chance, and he is like trying to narrow down the ball the whole match, running a lot. Same with the last game. I could have made that one also, but you have to be there. Like Haller scored 80% of his goals like this. It was a tap in, but he's still there. He still has a contribution. And then a lot of people are saying he doesn't let the team play better. And I understand that there are some aspects of his game that can be improved. But try him in his natural position as a 10. Let Brobbey play as a striker and judge him then. And not only that, don't judge it only, don't scapegoat a player that is very young, that has a lot of injuries, is not playing on his natural position, and then blaming him that the whole team is not playing well. Sorry, but I just cannot understand that. It cannot be one player responsible for the whole team not playing well. There's fundamentally, like we discussed before, especially with the build-up, like I just mentioned twice, 3 times, this is the biggest part why we're not clicking. Try Brobbey as a striker, but that is up to Schreuder. Give Kudus a chance as a 10, for example, or somebody else, because Berghuis, one of the diplomats, like Papi said, he's been playing all season almost. or if he played from the bench, he plays like 60 minutes or 45 minutes. He didn't play that well also for the majority of the games. Tadic isn't clicking also. The whole team isn't clicking the last 2 games. So to single out one player, and even I saw some disgusting things on Twitter, man. I'm not even talking about opinions, but I do not know what this guy's name is, but I even saw a guy that just told like, the best thing to happen for Ajax now is for him to get an injury. And then I'm like, seriously, you're an Ajax fan and you're wishing one of your players, doesn't matter if you like him or not, to get injured. I'm like, fuck that, man. Just skip it and go to the other tweets on Twitter, because this is something disgusting in my opinion. But that's just my take on it. I like him. I'm not saying he has to play always, but I do think it's not really objective to blame it all on one person, especially if he's not playing in the right position. But I hope Schreuder solves the puzzle, and whatever clicks for us, what works for us, is fine by me. But I, as a fan, would love to see at least once this season Brobbey as a 10, Brobbey as a striker, Kudus as a 10, and then see how that clicks. And then we can judge what works or not, in my opinion.
PapiMento, you wanted to react. Go ahead.
Yeah, even Kudus on the right wing would be great, but I just wanted to throw some stats because I like stats. Kudus, 7 goals, 1 assist, 400 minutes played. Bergwijn, our top scorer, 8 goals made, 0 assists, 800 minutes. Okay, Sahbi, you can go.
No, wait. What are you trying to say here?
Actually, that
no, I'm trying to say that based on the amount of minutes played by Kudus, his stats are incredible. So I just don't know how you can wish somebody to be injured or want him off the pitch, because if he's that efficient in his scoring and still has vision to set up for others with his 1 assist, but still, maybe a right wing, maybe a 10, but I wouldn't want to see somebody that's so clinical on the bench.
But do you agree with Ajax that you don't want him anymore as a false 9?
I do agree with Ajax that sometimes you need a target man, especially when you go long ball style like we did against AZ. Then you need people up front that hold the ball. Well, Tadic wasn't holding any balls. Bergwijn either, I think. But Kudus is not the player, is a false 9. So he's not the kind of player that's going to hold long balls for you. So if you want to play that kind of game, yeah, I agree. Kudus shouldn't be your 9.
I want to add one thing, if I may, Juan, to the discussion. What I also really am baffled about is that certain players of our team are only judged by what they can bring as a quality, but are not criticized as much on the things that are their flaws. For example,
can you give an example?
Yeah, for example, we have Daley Blind. I love Blind, and I hope he does well for us this season. But everybody always says, "Oh, Blind is such a terrific player. Oh, his passing is out of this world," and I agree. His passing is important for us, but he also has his flaws. His speed. If he gets matched up with a fast winger, other players around him have to cover for him so that he can be utilized for our team, for his passing play. Same with Kudus. Maybe he doesn't work hard enough sometimes, or maybe he keeps the ball a little bit too long, with him. But he also has other qualities that are that great. But certain players get judged only. This is such a big quality, and we're almost blind as Ajax fans for the flaws. And there are then players like Kudus that get judged like it's a bad player. Only the bad qualities are mentioned, and all the good stuff that happened, it isn't mentioned anymore. It's like one thing goes wrong and it's bad again. And this sometimes baffles me. And I'm not saying Blind is a bad player, so let's not take this out of context. I'm just putting a to show that exactly, to show that it happens with more players than only with Kudus, also with Tadic, also with other players. So maybe we should be a little bit more objective.
So with Tagliafico, it would have been a different game against AZ.
If that's
but we lack Grinta. That's something we have to admit right now. We do lack Grinta. If it's not coming from Alvarez, it's not happening. And in that game, we needed a lot of Grinta.
Yeah, but we had last season, and we still, like Ajax said, we lost to Go Ahead Eagles twice, I think. So or we lost points twice. So I agree to a certain extent. But I wanted to ask Sahbi something. Sahbi, this is very interesting because this was one of the topics I wanted to touch about as well, which I came up with because I was trying to defend Kudus a little bit. It's a little bit similar to what I just was saying. You hear like he has a lot of flaws, right? But if you look at all the players we have in this current squad, all of them have certain flaws, shortcomings. That's what makes it hard because you have to make a team that complements each other. And this is now, we have seen, we're not there yet. It has to do maybe with what also PapiMento said, gel, chemistry. It has to come in. We missed half of our players in this first 11 that left. But if you look besides the gel and the chemistry, it's not clicking the way it's supposed to be. And it could be that Kudus is not the 9, which facilitates, Bergwijn, for instance, or Tadic, for instance. Maybe it would be better if he's a 10. Who knows? But what I'm trying to ask you is, do you feel like with this current 11 on the pitch, there is, with a couple of shifts maybe, it can go better? Will we be ready, for instance, to match against Napoli in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm quite confident of that, indeed. We are all criticizing Tadic, and we should. If you look at the way he played. But if you look back at previous seasons, what was his best position?
Left wing.
Left winger. I don't understand why the position of Bergwijn is such a sacred position for him, if you talk in Dutch. He always wants to play as a left. Why can't he play as a right winger? Why can't we try him as a right winger? Put Tadic on a position where he can play at his best.
Can I counter that quickly? The problem with that would be I agree with you. His best position is left wing. But then you get into the situation which we saw last season, that Blind is the left back, and it will be very static on the left. This is something that also PapiMento and maybe Ajax alluded to last season. Yeah. The right side is much more dynamic than the left side.
Yeah, but what's the difference between Bergwijn and Blind at this moment?
Bergwijn does normally, a lot of defensive work, man. Don't underestimate that.
Defensive. Well, I've seen a lot of flaws where he didn't pressure it the way he should. Where we saw Kudus put a lot of pressure, where Bergwijn pressed the center of defense and Blind came too late. But those are all tactics.
Yeah.
But it's mainly, but it still remains static, right? If you look at Bergwijn as left winger, he only has one thing: cut inside and shoot. All our opponents know exactly what he does. We all saw it with AZ where they defended his right foot, so he wasn't able to shoot. Tadic is the same. He is left-footed, but he would always, as a left wing, he will always go to the back line and try to give that pass. You don't see that with Bergwijn. Bergwijn is always cutting inside. So let's at least try to put Tadic in his right position. See how that works. Maybe it works way better than him putting on the right side and Bergwijn on the left side. Put Bergwijn on the right side. Keep him there. Maybe he can give some crosses. Maybe he can cut inside with some combination play from where of which he can have a nice shot. Put Bobby in the striker position for the link-up play. Kudus as a 10 to work around. He's very, very flexible. He runs a lot. Maybe that would work.
You wouldn't play Berghuis
as a 10?
No,
or as a
in general. In general.
Who goes on the bench?
In my view, Berghuis should compete with Taylor. That's my view.
And
at this as an 8, and at this moment, Taylor wins it. In my view, with Alvarez, so I would play Alvarez with Taylor and Kudus, especially because we want to try out Kudus with Bobby. Put Bergwijn on the right. Let's see how that works. Tadic on his preferred position. He's a captain. He can bring a bit extra on the left wing, and see how this will evolve. And I do agree with Papi. If Tadic plays a bad game, substitute. It's clear as that. It's simple as that. It's not a sacred person. Huh? I love him. He's one of my favorite players. But if you play a bad game, you should be treated like any other player. Get substituted, especially if it's not incidental anymore.
Yeah. One question. So I asked you, there are a couple of things. Are we too far away from making just a couple of tweaks? And you mentioned, what would you do? What would you do? So basically you said, but everything you said basically is the front line.
Yeah,
you
but
would keep the back line the same?
I would keep the back line the same. Only Taylor, as I mentioned at the start, would need to gel as well to make himself available in the
To
build-up
help out
play.
with the build-up phase.
Exactly. So that
Okay.
you need to tweak some with player positions, but also tactic-wise, he needs to be able to get back and help out the defense, because
Yeah.
otherwise it will be islands, especially if we get pressured up
Yeah.
high. It's gonna be difficult.
So PapiMento, I'm also going to ask Ajax in a bit, but PapiMento, same goes for you. The question that I just asked: how far away are we from making this team elevate a little bit in terms of level and form? And my question is: you mentioned also, why don't we try Kudus as a right winger? I'm very skeptic about that, to be honest. Why would you want Kudus as a right winger? Can you also explain that?
Me?
Because I think
No,
he's,
sorry, PapiMento.
oh,
Okay.
sorry, Zabi. I think he's very press resistant, so he can hold the ball also on the side. But I think he has the speed and technical capabilities to pass a man, to create havoc on his side. So it gets opening for Bergwijn or Tadic coming into the box, depending on if they play or not. But just imagine a Kudus, Brobbey, Bergwijn up front. Sounds very dangerous to me, and that could.
Where would Tadic play for you? As a 10?
Yeah, you could opt for him or Berghuis as a 10. But for me, it's more the position of he has the speed. He can go deep. He can make runs off the ball. He doesn't need to come into the ball the whole time, because you see him sometimes as a false 9 really going all the way back to the midfield position to pass it out, to come under the press. That's not what you really want from your striker. Sometimes you also want your striker to stay deep, you know.
Okay.
So I think
okay, but wait. Just to be clear for our viewers and for me as well, because I'm a bit confused now. What would be your front line? Who would you sacrifice?
I just want to see Kudus right wing, Brobbey striker, and Bergwijn on the left. And whatever 10 you may choose, Tadic or Berghuis, no problem.
Okay, all right. And the back line, no changes there. You agree with the you agree with Sahbi about the build up? Let Taylor do more the build up. You agree with that, or different?
The only thing is, I've been hearing a lot of good things about Grealish, but to be honest, I haven't followed him, so I don't know how good he is on the ball. But I hear he's very good on the ball and he's great for the build up. So I don't know. Maybe that could be an option in the back. But I saw too little
in
of
the
him
back or in the
really
midfield. In the midfield.
No, if you want more build up from the back,
But
would
he's
have
not
to
a
put him in
defender.
the.
He's not a defender.
He used to play as well in defense.
He can,
but it's not his natural position.
No, not his natural
he
position.
can. Or I don't want to move Alvarez because I think he's been doing such a great job. Maybe Alvarez and Grealish on the midfield. I haven't seen him play.
I want to know, what are you doing? Come on, bro.
I haven't seen him play,
man.
so I don't know what this level is. But I'm a fan of Kenneth Taylor. I want to see Taylor on the midfield, but the physicality of his play still needs to develop, and it's not there yet. Okay. So is it easy against Napoli? No, I don't think it's going to be easy against Napoli, because we have a coach that is set in his ways, and I didn't see him make any other changes or new things, changes in the team that I'm like, okay, he's still looking for the best formation. No, he kept playing the same formation for a while now. Especially the back line and the midfield have been the same most of all.
All right. You didn't give 100% the answer, but it's fine.
He didn't even guess 60% of the answer.
That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Thanks, PapiMento. Ajax, same goes for you. I mean,
leftovers again.
Sorry, bro. Sorry. No, this is not leftover. This is really your opinion. So, what would you change to the team? You already talked a little bit about it. Would you change a lot? There are a couple of things maybe that could help the team forward.
Yeah, it's. Let me start by saying it's a difficult question because we all know we have 14, 15 players that could easily play at the first 11. So either way, it's a matter of opinion. Who do you like? Who do you not like so much? Maybe what are your favorite players? So there isn't the one right answer here.
Of
For
course.
me, I would play Robbie as a striker to begin there because I think he's terrific there. He can hold the ball. He has some of the qualities that Kudus, for example, has not in that position. He would be maybe more suitable as an Ajax striker. So let me start with this. For me, Kudus plays as a 10 at the moment because I think he, in his form, could be our best 10, especially in combination with Bergwijn and Robbie, like mentioned by Sabri, I believe, before, or by Papi. They could maybe gel great together. So the thing is with the midfield, Taylor plays for me. Alvarez plays for me. So this means that Klaassen, Berghuis, for example, they just don't cut it for me. That's a matter of opinion. You could easily play Berghuis there, but I rather see a player like Kudus there, while other fans maybe see Berghuis rather in that position, or a Tadic. For me, it's Kudus.
You are Schreuder.
I'm Schreuder now, so it's Kudus.
Yeah.
Kudus, Alvarez, Taylor. And I like the idea of Sahbi that Taylor plays a little bit more as a box-to-box midfielder, a little bit more as that role of Gravenberg used to play a lot, and maybe penetrates the box a little bit less when we crowd that area, that he falls back a little bit more. Only when necessary, he joins there. But then the difficult situation are the wingers, because I would love to see Bergwijn also maybe on the right side sometimes, because Tadic, he can bring a lot for us at that left wing position. He is getting so predictable in his play from the right side. Same with Bergwijn. He doesn't get to the back line a lot, like Sahbi said earlier. Maybe you just have to try it one more time. What is it when Bergwijn plays on the right wing and Tadic on the left wing? Because that's his natural position. He's done well for us all those years. And at his age, is it really something we can demand for him to master a new position at this stage of his career? Does he have the speed, the versatility still to do that? You can rather play him in a position that he's comfortable in, being the captain for us, being important for us there, than maybe let him play on the right wing position. And to throw something into the discussion, what about Ocampos? Where does he come in? He just gets a few minutes. He was almost bought for 20 million euros. Let that sink in.
Yeah,
that was sink in. And how much is he utilized up until now? So the board, the supervisory board, maybe saved us from a big mistake there.
Yeah,
because I'm not saying he won't perform for us, but he doesn't even get a chance.
This is what makes the discussion harder for us now, early in the season. We have a new coach. We're still trying to see what he's trying to do. We've seen a couple of things, but still it's not always coming out. We've seen good things, but we didn't see everything yet. And I think the most important thing, what Ajax said, is there are a couple of players, also PapiMento said it, Grealish, Ocampos, we haven't seen them really yet,
No.
At least we saw him at Young Ajax a couple of times, so we know a little bit what he's doing. But these other players, we have no idea.
And we saw Luca at Young Ajax, but it's clear that he will be a pinch hitter for us. So to break at the end of the match, for something.
Which he did pretty well against AZ.
Yeah, and also at that close match yesterday against Utrecht, he scored a decent goal. That's the first goal. So I think he has some qualities there. But to get back to the formation, I would love to see Tadic on the left wing and Bergwijn on the right wing sometimes, just to see if it works, because I think Blind and Tadic know each other a little bit already. And I think Bergwijn can bring that depth with Rensch. They are more versatile, maybe more suitable together. So that for me is it's a headache, because if you're being honest, if you're really, really, really being honest, Tadic wasn't our captain. He was just a first team player at the moment. Maybe his first or second season without the history. One could argue. Is he doing enough to be in the first squad? I would put him there always because it's our captain and due to the history. But he isn't at the level that we are used to of him, So let them see. Let's see him on the left wing again. And I have one more thing of the defense, because everybody says let's play like this. If you play Bessie on the left side, or maybe Wijndal if he's more fit. you get more speed and more power on that side also, because this is something we're lacking with Blind. And I know I stated it last season. I'm not a fan of Blind at the central back position, but either way, or on the left side, you lose some qualities there, like with speed and power on that side, but you have a lot of passing ability. You could also have this from the center of the field, but he has a liability there also.
Yeah.
So it's choosing between two options there, you know.
Yeah, I think slowly. I think quickly, Safi. I think slowly because we mentioned Ocampos and Grealish, but we haven't even mentioned Kaplan yet. Kaplan could be a solution. We don't know how. I don't think he's ready yet, but he has to evolve. But I think he might be a solution as a left center back next to Timber, because what we heard from Turkish fans, Trabzonspor fans, defensively he's really good. He's a good blocker of the shots and balls and anticipation and these kind of things. The build-up, again, is not his strongest thing, but you will get at least a block of players that are young, dynamic, they can hold things. And Bessie, his best matches, also with Rangers, he did well as a center back, but his best matches were as a left back. He brings so much power going forward and coming back, you know? It's
I feel like he's holding back a little bit, just because he has to hold that position.
But
he has so much drive. Huh?
One could argue, Juan, that did our scouting system do a great job then, because we signed him to be a central defender. And I'm being honest with you, and I've stated it a lot last season. Last season was a season that Blind could have been benched because we had those players in the team that could build up and were comfortable and were clicking together. But now, this season, it's a totally different ballgame. I'm not comfortable benching Blind at the moment because his quality, his passing ability at the moment is so important for us, because the rest of the defense are lacking in that area at the moment. We cannot afford, even with his flaws in the game, to just bench him. So either choose to play him as a central defender or as a left back, but just know that you also will get some flaws in that area of the pitch. It's simple as that.
And now you see exactly how we miss Licha, because he completed the puzzle. As you said, Ajax, either way, whatever you choose, there will always be a loose puzzle. The puzzle won't be complete. You put him as left back, you will have you don't have any proper build-up from the center and so on. You put him in the center, then it's a liability, because the most danger comes from the center, not necessarily from the wings, because you don't have scoring opportunities mostly from the wings. It's mostly from in the center. So either way, you won't get the full picture. You won't have the full puzzle completed, and that's worrisome in comparison with last season. Last season we had the perfect 11. Now we have a squad that is in depth great, but not complete if you put them as a starting 11.
I believe you said, I will come to you, PapiMento. I believe you said early in the season that our depth is better in terms of how many players we have similar level, but not as a quality compared to last season. Sabi, you said that, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. And I'm saying that again.
Yeah. So I just want to reiterate. Okay.
Yeah. No, exactly. And just one additional point which you mentioned about the Grealish, the Ocampos. We already saw in the last interview with Klaassen getting pretty frustrated with lacking playing time. Imagine the other players as well. Ocampos, who came to Ajax to play in the Champions League, to have some additional to have playing time and so on. Grealish, he signed a contract to play. Kaplan, he came in, and we paid a lot for these players, and still they don't get any playing time. So I'm wondering how Schreuder will cope with this situation after these upcoming 2 weeks, because he needs to keep them fresh, happy, and not trying to have any frictions within the squad. So it's going to be difficult for him to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is exactly what we were saying, right? It's like we don't have the full picture yet. We haven't seen all the players yet. So we don't know if there are better alternatives. If something, after you see everybody play, you can say, okay, maybe this is better or this is better. Now we're trying to say, okay, this is better, but we haven't seen 3 or 4 players that we signed. We haven't seen them play yet occasionally.
And imagine the players. I mean, they saw the 2 last games. We played horrible. And still the same players play. Still the same players play the full 90 minutes, the players who play horrible. Imagine how the players on the bench feel.
Yeah. But in all fairness, to blame like the players against Liverpool, that match that they play against AZ, that's what you mean, right?
But I mean, as a team, I'm not specifically stating the players, but we didn't play well against Liverpool.
But it was our best 11 in the eyes of the coach at that moment, and Liverpool is something else at Anfield. So I can understand playing a lot of that core, especially against AZ. It would be a different situation if you lose against somebody from the Eredivisie and keep playing those players in the Eredivisie. So
can I say something quickly on this? One of the stats that I read, it was Liverpool and AZ basically. Maybe I'm a little bit off with the numbers, but Pasveer had 70 touches in both games. Is that tactics in your view, or is this the lack of quality in the build-up that we discussed? Which one is it in your opinion? Because a lot of fans are saying, "Oh, we're back to Frank de Boer era."
No, it's the latter one.
We are asking.
All of you.
It has to do with the build-up.
Yeah,
it all comes down to the build-up. It's as simple as that. Like I stated before, if you're not comfortable playing the ball and you get pressed so high that you get into a position that you do not have any solution anymore, you can only play back to your keeper, and he just kicks the ball up front, because otherwise he gets chased down and maybe loses the ball. This has to do with the comfortability of the players at the back. They are not comfortable playing that ball up front.
Okay.
This is the problem. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
All right. Clear. PapiMento, you want to say a couple of things. Sorry for making you wait this long. Tell me.
No, I mean, we were talking about Blind, but I just wanted to say, you can maybe make room for one player in your team that's Blind-like, okay? But you cannot do that with a Tadic and Blind in your team, because both are at an age that they can only play certain positions and they're only good at certain things, but they cannot do everything you expect from them anymore. So if you have that with one player, okay, you can cope with it, you can deal with it, internally within the team. But if you have two of those players in your team, it gets really difficult. And we're focusing too much on Blind, but it's Tadic and Blind.
Can I add?
Yeah. I want to go further on this, because this is a very good point, and this is the last point I want to bring to you guys. Is the team that we have, right? There are shortcomings. We touched upon that. There are a couple of players with shortcomings. Now, Blind is an outlier, clear. He's basically the one. Okay, it's a bit wrong to say this, but the one thing he can do more things. But the one thing he excels in that nobody else does is the build-up on the ball. Nobody can do what he does. But he has a lot of flaws: physicality, speed, defending, these kind of things. If we look at Tadic, his speed has gone down. He's not playing his best in the right wing. We touched upon that as well. What PapiMento is saying is interesting. Is it too difficult now for Schreuder to make a team that camouflages basically their shortcomings? And of course, there are other players with shortcomings, but I'm talking about these veterans, because they are playing all of the games almost. What do you think, Isaac?
It is difficult, but we have to add something to what PapiMento is saying.
Mm-hmm.
It is difficult when Tadic is playing as a right winger.
Okay.
If you put him as a left winger in his natural position, he can hold his own a lot more and contribute to the team. And also, you isolate both of your players on the left side, so you can build it. You can build around it more easily with your midfielders and with your defender to help them out at certain stuff that they're lacking in at the moment because of their age or because of their physical attributes at the moment.
Yeah.
If you have one on the right side that is not in his natural position and one on the left back position, how are you going to cover for that with other players, utilizing them in your team? And I know from Tadic, from the left wing position, you would have to help him out less than on the right wing position at the moment, because it's not his natural position and it's more difficult for him to hold his own on that position. So I would rather like keep them on the left side both, so it's easier to utilize them.
The thing is, what Ajax saying, okay, I understand. But if you opt for Tadic on the left wing, then you have to opt for Bassi as the left back.
Maybe.
Because Tadic becomes better when he has somebody that goes over his
Or Wendell.
side to create space.
Or Wendell.
Or Wendell. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
but then you have to
but-
bench
yeah,
Blind, and that's the only one with vision
Yeah,
and
but-
creativity.
yeah,
in
but
team.
isn't that the same with Bergwijn? Cutting inside, you also need a player who overlaps.
I think it's
It's
less
the-
of
it's
a
the
problem.
same.
It's less of a problem with Tadic there because he gets to the back line more. He cuts
Exactly.
he cuts back
Yeah.
again and he cuts again and he cuts again. You know, and he's
Yeah.
more unpredictable that way than on the right side. And maybe it's just us. You know, maybe we are thinking, no, this is not possible. Blind and Tadic on the left side, they are not compatible because he needs this and he needs that. They played a lot of matches together last
Yeah,
season
indeed.
and it went great. So
It's
Sorry, we saw last season. Most of the build-up was from Mazraoui and Anthony's side. Okay, I mean, the most dangers came from that side as well.
yeah, but
I
I
mean,
could.
They did well in the beginning, and Blind had an amazing stats in the beginning with his build-up and assist and assist to goal or wherever. But after a while, you did see the shortcomings, and teams were focusing and understanding where the problems lie within Ajax, and then it changed.
Let me
Okay.
counter
Yes,
that
go now.
real quick. Sorry, one more thing, please, Juan. Let me counter that real quickly, because yes, our right side was magnificent. A lot of flair, a lot of joy from that side, a lot of great football. But I think if you look at the stats of the left side compared to the right side, that maybe Blind and Tadic will even have dominated it stats-wise, Anthony and Mazraoui. So do not think that they will not be important for us on that side, because they also gave a lot of
Effective.
assists and a lot of contributions and a lot of progressive passes or assists before an assist, much more than Anthony and Mazraoui, if I recall correctly.
They're more
So
effective. They're more effective.
Yeah,
I
in the
think
stats.
it could
That's
work.
true. That's true. But we were also more exposed on that side.
Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah, but yeah, you can't have it all, eh? Juan?
No.
No,
I know. I said
wish we
it.
could.
Okay. What I wanted to say quickly, but I didn't have a chance to come in between. You guys were discussing, but what Ajax said quickly on, if you have them on the left side, maybe you can build around it. And this is very interesting because I just want to, and most of the people know this already. There was an interview with the father of Gravenberch last season about the choice why he went to Bayern, but he mentioned a lot of things. And one of the things was that Gravenberch was instructed by Ten Hag to be much more reserved in his role in that position on the left side, because he was between Blind and Tadic, and they had much more ball, contacts, and it went. Gravenberch didn't have as much as the previous seasons because he had to adapt on the left side and be much more controlling for both of them. So this is very interesting because you can argue the same if you bring Tadic back on the left side, like you said, then maybe you also have to do something with Taylor.
Maybe you should do what Sahbi said. Maybe he should be more a box-to-box midfielder to utilize those players on the left. It could click together, actually.
Yeah. All right. Look, we touched upon a lot of things. We are in the middle of an international break right now. We have a Go Ahead Eagles game. Then we go to Napoli. Last thing I want from you, just quickly, what do you want to see in the first game against Go Ahead Eagles for you? Does something has to change in terms of personnel, or do you want to see more a tactical change in that game already? Sahbi.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the tactical part. I don't mind the players because it depends, of course, whether all the players played during the international break, because fatigue can play a role, whereby you can play certain players that are normally on the bench against Go Ahead. But from a tactical point of view, you will need you will need that midfielder that comes back and help out the defense. And of course, Go Ahead. It's not like AZ. It's not like Liverpool. So they will probably try to either park the bus, which they will lose because the way Schreuder plays, we will eventually score a goal. I'm quite sure of it. So maybe they will try to do the same as AZ or Liverpool, but that won't work for them because quality-wise, they lack a lot to do the same as AZ. So I don't see it. I don't see it as a problem coming up against Go Ahead. I think we need to worry about Napoli. That's the game where we really need to concentrate upon. And I saw the game Rangers versus Napoli. Napoli played good, but they were quite lucky not being 1, 2, or 3 behind in the first half, because Rangers were all over them. They put pressure on them. They dominated at first, and then all of a sudden, because of a penalty, but also because of a certain technical play of Napoli, they scored against Rangers. So if we have a good day, if we know how to pressure Napoli, I don't think we will. I mean, it's a great opponent, but eventually we can get a result against them.
Yeah, we did. I said we touched upon basically everything, but this is one thing we didn't touch upon: the pressing. The pressing so far, we know that Schreuder wants that, but it's not working all the time yet. The pressure, the way we want it. Also against Liverpool, it didn't go the way we wanted. Quickly on this, Sahbi, what's your opinion on why it's not working so far?
I think the agreements have not been met between the players. I think Schreuder has a clear view, but the players didn't do what has been told. That's one thing.
Execution is basically execution right now.
Yeah. Or I mean, I don't know what has been discussed, of course, but we also against Liverpool it didn't work out. You saw Bergwijn pressing the central defender Matip, whereby Alexander-Arnold was free. So it was the tactic was that Daley Blind should pressure on Alexander-Arnold, and then the Alvarez or the Bassi should go to Salah. But that didn't work at all. Bergwijn pressured the central defender, and Blind came way too late pressuring Alexander-Arnold. So before he even when Arnold got the ball, it took like a few meters before Blind
was in the neighborhood.
So there was so much time for him to pass around against to Thiago or any other player. So it didn't work out at all. In my view, if you need to pressure the central defense, do it with your midfielders and not with your wingers. The wingers need to have their man. As a left winger needs to have the right back. The right winger needs to have the right back. Just as been done last season, it worked out fine. And that's how pressing should work.
Okay, clear. Ajax, I will not go with you last.
No. Go with Papi first, man. He waited so long, man. He waited so long.
Okay. Papi, same goes for you. What do you want to see in the go-ahead game prior to going to the Napoli game for you? You want to change your personnel, or what Sahbi said, you want actually more to see that the execution becomes better in terms of build-up, for instance?
For me, it's not personnel. Two things. I want to see a compactor team when they're off the ball, closer to each other, not a long field. And I want to see less long balls. I want to see short passing. Yeah.
Yeah, but both of you are saying, Sahbi and you are saying no personnel changes. Does that mean you guys want to keep Kudus as a 9?
No. Personnel changes are not the main issue. I think you can put any player in there, but I just want to see higher quality play. I want to see short passes coming out of the press. I don't want to see constantly long balls from the keeper up to the front. That's not Ajax. That's not the way we want to play. So I do want to see a better possession game and really from the back to the midfield, creating something and building up something. And that's something I really look forward to seeing from Ajax.
Yeah. It's all about right now, after 2 losses, we have to build up the confidence as well going into Napoli.
Yeah.
It has to be a good game as well. Ajax, for you, finally, for you.
Let me say that I want to see players in their natural position. So Tadic on the other left wing, Robbie as a striker, Kudus as a 10. Stop playing or creating other positions for players, because this is an issue also. And let's be done with it. If we see Kudus and Robbie match up for maybe 2-3 matches, we know if it will click or not. So Tadic for me to the left wing again. Try Bergwijn at the right wing. I agree with that. And I would love to see also Schreuder giving the other players a few minutes, because I hope that we are able to be 2-3-0 up against Go Ahead Eagles at halftime. Just substitute Tadic. Just substitute a few other players, like maybe even a Bessie, or let him play left back, take Blind out and give Kaplan some minutes, give Grealish some minutes, give Ocampo some minutes. Those 3. I want to see the quality. We do not play a lot of friendlies anymore, at this stage of the season with the crowded agenda that we have. I want them to make and get some minutes in the matches that they are able to do that. And this is what I would love to see, and not again Klaassen 45 minutes or whatever. He needs some minutes too, but we know what he can do, and he's not been performing up to par at all. So give the other players some chances also, because they are brought in for a lot of money and they should have some quality. So let's see if it works. That's first of all, and second of all, more progressive balls and more ballsy by the players,
Cojones, yeah.
Cojones, because they are lacking the confidence, and they are lacking the progressive play. They are choosing to make the easy pass because they do not want to make a fault, exposing Pasveer in the process because he needs to solve the shit, at the back. He needs to get kick a long ball again, get 70 touches in a match. That is not the Ajax way. So either cope with it and make a mistake and get burned and learn from it, but try to play the Ajax way, then make that other side pass, make that pass back to the keeper, like on the Frank de Boer, like we mentioned before, and do not make a mistake, but also cannot play the way you would love to play as Ajax, So this for me is the most important. I'd rather see them trying and growing in that process than just being the easy solutions for the passes back.
I don't think it will be a problem. I don't think it will be a problem against Go Ahead, as I said. I mean, the quality is immense between those two. What you said, I want to see that against Napoli for sure. We will see that eventually against Go Ahead because it won't be a problem, but it will be a real challenge against Napoli, and that's where I want to see it.
But it all starts with Go Ahead. If you build there and you get automatisms within the team, then you can utilize it also against bigger opponents because you get more comfortable at it. And you just this is the key word of this talk. They are not comfortable at the moment doing that stuff. So they need to grow in that area. Once you get comfortable, it will be easier against bigger opponents also.